The Merchant's Tale. Prologue. Weeping and wailing, care and other sorrow, I have enough on even and on morrow, quoth the merchant, and so have other more, that wedded be. I true that it be so, for well I wot it fareth so by me. I have a wife, the worste that may be, for though the fiend to her y coupled were, she would him overmatch, I dare well swear. Why should I rehearse in special her high malice? She is a shrew at all. There is a long and large difference betwixt Griselda's greate patience and of my wife the passing cruelty. Were I bounden, also may I thee. I would never eft come in the snare. We wedded men live in sorrow and care. Say it whoso will, and he shall find that I say sooth by Saint Thomas of Ind. As for the more part, I say not all. God shielde that it should so befall. Ah, good Sir Host, I have I wedded be these moneths two, and more not pardie, and yet I true that he that all his life wifeless hath been, though that man would him rive into the heart, could in no manner tell so much sorrow as I you here could tellen of my wife's cursedness. Now, quoth our host, merchant, so God you bless, since ye so much knowen of that art, full heartily I pray you tell us part. Gladly, quoth he, but of mine own sorrow for sorry heart I tell me no more. The Tale. Whilom there was dwelling in Lombardy a worthy knight that was born at Pavie, in which he lived in great prosperity, and 40 years a wifeless man was he, and followed I his bodily delight on women, whereas was his appetite, as do these fools that be seculars. And when that he was passed 60 years, were it for holiness or for dotage, I cannot say, but such a great courage hadde this knight to be a wedded man, that day and night he did all that he can to espy where that he might wedded be, praying our Lord to grant him that he might once knowen of that blissful life that is betwixt a husband and his wife, and for to live under that holy bond with which God first a man and woman bond. None other life, said he, is worth a bean, for wedlock is so easy and so clean, that in this world it is a paradise. Thus said this olde knight that was so wise. And certainly, as sooth as God is king, to take a wife it is a glorious thing. And namely, when a man is old and hoar, then is a wife the fruit of his tresor. Then should he take a younge wife and fair, on which he might engender him an heir, and lead his life in joy and in solace. Whereas these bachelors singen alas, when they that find any adversity in love, which is but childish vanity. And truly it sits well to be so, that bachelors have often pain and woe. On brittle ground they build, and brittle nesse they find when they wean sicker nesse. They live but as a bird or as a beast, in liberty and under no arrest. Whereas a wedded man in his estate liveth a life blissful and ordinate, under the yoke of marriage y bound, well may his heart in joy and bliss abound. For who can be so buxom as a wife, who is so true and eke so attentive, to keep him sick and whole as is his make? For weal or woe she will him not forsake. She is not weary him to love and serve, though that he lie bedrid until he sterve. And yet some clerks say it is not so, of which he, Theophrast, is one of tho. What force, though Theophrast list for to lie? Take no wife, quoth he, for husbandry, as for to spare in household thy dispence, a true servant more diligence. Thy good to keep than doth thine owen wife, for she will claim a half part all her life. And if that thou be sick, so God me save, thy very friend is, or a true knave, will keep thee bet than she that waiteth aye after thy good, and hath done many a die. This sentence, and 100 times worse, writeth this man, there God his bonus curse. But take no keep of all such vanity, defy Theophrast, and hearken to me. A wife is God's gift verily, all other manner gifts hardily, as hands, rents, pasture, or commune, or meubles, all be gifts of fortune, that passen as a shadow on the wall. But dread thou not, if plainly speak I shall. A wife will last, and in thine house endure, well longer than thee list paraventure. Marriage is a full great sacrament. He which that hath no wife, I hold him shent. He liveth helpeless and all desolate. I speak of folk in secular estate. And hearken why I say not this for naught, that woman is for man's help y wrought. The highe God, when he had Adam maked, and saw him all alone belly naked, God of his great goodness saide then, let us now make help unto this man, like to himself, and then he made him Eve. Here may you see, and hereby may you prave, that a wife is man's help and his comfort, his paradise terrestre and his disport. So buxom and so virtuous is she, they must needs live in unity. One flesh they be, and one blood, as I guess, with but one heart in weal and in distress. A wife, ah, Saint Mary Benedicte, how might a man have any adversity that hath a wife? Certes, he cannot say the bliss the which that is betwixt them tway. There may no tongue it tell, or heart to think, if he be poor, she helpeth him to swink. She keeps his good, and wasteth never a deal. All that her husband list, her liketh well. She saith not once nay, when he saith yea. Do this, saith he, already, sir, saith she. O blissful order, wedding precious, thou art so merry and eke so virtuous, and so commended and approved eke, that every man that holds him worth a lake, upon his bare knees ought all his life to thank his God that him hath sent a wife, or else pray to God for him to send a wife to last unto his life's end. For then his leaf is set in sicker nesse, he may not be deceived, as I guesse. So that he work after his wife's rede, then may he boldly bear up his head. They be so true, and therewithal so wise, for which if thou wilt worken as the wise, do always so as women will thee rede. Lo, how that Jacob, as these clerkes read, be good counsel of his mother Rebek, bound o' the kid skin about his neck, for which his father's benison he won. Lo, Judith, as the story telle can, by good counsel she Godde's people kept, and slew him Holofernes while he slept. Lo, Abigail, by good counsel, how she saved her husband Nabal, when that he should have been slain. And lo, Esther also, the by counsel good delivered out of woe the people of God, and made him Mordecai of Ahasuer unhanced for to be. There is nothing in grace superlative, as saith Seneca, above a humble wife. Suffer the wife's tongue, as Cato bit, she shall command, and thou shalt suffer it. And yet she will obey out of courtesy. A wife is keeper of thine husbandry. Well may the sicke man bewail and weep, there is no wife the house to keep. I warneth thee, if wisely thou wilt worch, love wealthy wife as Christ loveth his church. Thou lovest thyself, if thou lovest thy wife. No man hateth his flesh, but in his life he fostereth it, and therefore bid I thee, cherish thy wife, or thou shalt never thee. Husband and wife, whatso men jape or play, of worldly folk hold the sicker way. They be so knit there may no harm betide, and namely upon the wife's seed. For which this January, of whom I told, considered hath, within his dayes old, the lusty life, the virtuous quiet, that is in marriage honey sweet. And for his friends upon a day he sent to tell them the effect of his intent. With face sad his tale he hath them told. He said, "Friends, I am hoar and old, and almost, God wot, on my piteous brink. Upon me soul somewhat must I think. I have my body foolishly dispended. Blessed be God that it shall be amended, for I will be certain a wedded man, and that anon in all the haste I can. Unto some maiden fair and tender of age, I pray you shape for me marriage, all suddenly, for I will not abide, and I will fain to espy on my seed, to whom I may be wedded hastily. But forasmuch as ye be more than ye shall rather such a thing espy than I, and where my best were to ally. But one thing warn I you, my friendes dear, I will none olde wife have in no manner. She shall not pass 16 years certain. Old fish and young flesh would I have fain. Better, quoth he, a pike than a pickerel, and better than old beef is tender veal. I will no woman 30 year of age. It is but bean straw and great forage, and eke these old widows got it wot. They con so much craft on wade his boat, so much brook harm when that them lest, that with them should I never live in rest. For sundry schooles make subtle clerks, woman of many schools half a clerk is, but certainly a younge thing men may gie, right as men may warm wax with handes plee. Wherefore I say you plainly in a clause, I will none old wife have, right for this cause. For if so were, I hadde such mischance, that I in her could have no pleasance, then should I lead me life in avoutree, and go straight to the devil when I die. Nor children should I none upon her getten, yet were me lever houndes had me eaten, than that mine heritage should fall in strange hands. And this I tell you all, I dote not I know the cause why men should wed, and furthermore know I, there speaketh many a man of marriage, that knows no more of it than doth my page. For what causes a man should take a wife, if he may not live a chaste his life? Take him a wife with great devotion, because of lawful procreation of children, to the honor of God above, and not only for paramour or love, and for they should lechery eschew, and yield their debt when that it is due, or for that each of them should help the other in mischief, as a sister shall the brother, and live in chastity full holily. But Ceres, by your leave, that am not I. For God be thanked, I dare make a vaunt, I feel me limbes stark and suffisant, to do all that a man belongeth to. I wot myself best what I may do. Though I be whore, I fair as doth a tree that blossoms ere the fruit I waxen be. The blossomy tree is neither dry nor dead. I feel me now here whore, but on my head mine heart and all my limbs are as green as laurel through the year is for to seen. And since that ye have heard all mine intent, I pray you to my will ye would assent. Divers man diversely him told of marriage many examples old. Some blamed it, some praised it certain, but at the haste, shortly for to sayn, as all day falleth altercation betwixt friends in disputation, there fell a strife betwixt his brethren twae, of which that one was called Placebo. Justinius soothly called was that other. Placebo said, "O January brother, full little need have ye, my lord so dear, counsel to ask of that is here, but that ye be so full of sapience, that you not liketh for your high prudence to wave from the word of Solomon. This word said he unto us every one, work all a thing by counsel, thus said he, and then shalt thou not repent thee. But though that Solomon spake such a word, mine owen dear brother and my lord, so wisely God my soul bring at rest, I hold your owen counsel it is the best. For, brother mine, take of me this motif, I have now been a courtman all my life, and God it wot, though I unworthy be, I have standen in full great degree about lords of full high estate, yet had I ne'er with none of them debate. I never them contraried truly. I know well that my lord can more than I. What that he saith, I hold it firm and stable. I say the same, or else a thing semblable. A full great fool is any counsellor that serveth any lord of high honour, that dare presume or else thinken it, that his counsel should pass his lordes wit. Nay, lords, be no fools by me fay. Ye have yourself showed here today so high sentence, so holily and well, that I consent and confirm every deal. Your word is all, and your opinion. Begod, there is no man in all this town, nor in Italy, could better have I said. Christ holds him of this counsel well apide. And truly it is a high courage of any man that stopen is in age, to take a younge wife by my father's kin. Your heart hangeth on a jolly pin. Do now in this matter right as you lest, for finally I hold it is for the best. Justinus, that I still sat and heard, right in this wise to Placebo answered: "Now, brother mine, be patient, I pray, since ye have said, and hearken what I say. Seneca, among his other wordes wise, saith that a man ought him right well advise, to whom he gives his hand or his chattel. And since I ought advise me right well, to whom I give my good away from me, well more I ought advise me per day, to whom I give my body. For alway I warn you well, it is no child's play to take a wife without advisement. Men must inquire, this is mine assent, where'er she be wise, or sober, or drunkelo, or proud, or any other ways a shrew, a chidester, or a waster of thy good, or rich or poor, or else a man is wood. Albeit so, that is no man finde shall, none in this world that trotteth whole in all, no man nor beast, such as men can devise, but natheless it ought enough suffice with any wife, if so were that she had more good thuis than her vices bad. And all this asketh leisure to inquire. For God it wot, I have wept many a tear full privily since I have had a wife. Praise whoso will a wedded mane's life. Certes, I find in it but cost and care, and observances of all blisses bare. And yet God wot my neighbours about, and namely of women many a rout, say that I have the most steadfast wife, and eke the makest one that beareth lief. But I know best where ringeth me my shoe. Ye may for me richt as you like do. Advise you, ye be a man of age, how that ye enter into marriage, and namely with a young wife and a fair, by him that made water, fire, earth, and air. The youngest man that is in all this route is busy enough to bring it to boot. To have his wife alone, truste me, ye shall not please her fully yeares three. This is to say, to do her full pleasance, a wife asketh full many an observance. I pray you that ye be not evil apaid." "Well," quoth this January, "and hast thou said? Straw for thy Senec and for thy proverbs. I counte not a pannier full of herbs of school terms. Wiser men than thou, as thou hast heard, assented here right now to my purpose. Placebo, what say ye?" "I say it is a cursed man," quoth he, "that letteth matrimony sickerly." And with that word they rise up suddenly, and be assented fully that he should be wedded when him list and where he would. High fantasy and curious business from day to day gan in the soul impress Of January about his marriage. Many a fair shape and many a fair visage there passed through his hearte night by night, as whoso took a mirror polished bright and set it in a common market place, then should he see many a figure pace by his mirror, and in the same wise gan January in his thought devise of maidens which that dwelt him beside. He wist not where that he might abide. For if that one had beauty in her face, another stood so in the people's grace. For her sadness and her benignity, that of the people's greatest voice had she. And some were rich and had a bad name, but natheless betwixt earnest and game he at the last appointed him on one, and let all others from his hearte gone, and chose her of his own authority. For love is blind all day, and may not say. And when that he was into bed y brocht, he portrayed in his heart and in his thought her freshe beauty and her age tendre, her middle small, her armes long and slender, her wise governance, her gentleness, her womanly bearing, and her sadness. And when that he on her was condescended, he thought his choice might not be amended. For when that he himself concluded had, he thought each other man's wit so bad, that impossible it were to reply against his choice. This was his fantasy. His friends sent he to, at his instaance, and prayed them to do him that pleasance, that hastily they would unto him come. He would abridge their labour all and some. Needed no more for them to go nor ride. He was appointed where he would abide. Placebo came, and eke his friendes soon, and alder first he bade them all a boon, that none of them no arguments would make against the purpose that he had y take, which purpose was pleasant to God, said he, and very ground of his prosperity. He said there was a maiden in the town, which that of beauty had great renown. All were it so she were of small degree, sufficed him her youth and her beauty, which maid he said he would have to his wife, to lead in ease and holiness his life, and thanked God that he might have her all, that no wight with his bliss parte shall, and prayed them to labour in this need, and shape that he fail not to speed. For then, he said, his spirit was at ease. "Then is," quoth he, "nothing may me displease, save one thing pricketh in my conscience, the which I will rehearse in your presence. I have," quoth he, "heard said full yore ago, there may no man have perfect blisses two, this is to say, on earth and eke in heaven. For though he keep him from the sins seven, and eke from every branch of thilke tree, yet is there so perfect felicity, and so great ease in lust in marriage, that ever I am aghast, now in mine age, that I shall head now so merry a life, so delicate, without woe or strife, that I shall have mine heaven on earthe here. For since that very heaven is bought so dear with tribulation and great penance, how should I then, living in such pleasance, as alle wedded men do with their wives, come to the bliss where Christ etern on live is? This is my dread, and ye, me brethren tway, asole me this question, I you pray. Justinus, which that hated his folly, answered anon right in his japery. And for he would his long tale abridge, he would no authority allege, but said, Sir, so there be none obstacle other than this, God of his high miracle and of his mercy may so for you work, that ere you have your rites of holy church, you may repent of wedded manne's life, in which ye say there is no woe nor strife. And else God forbid, but if he sent a wedded man his grace him to repent, well often rather than a single man. And therefore, sir, the best arrayed I can, despair you not, but have in your memory, peradventure she may be your purgatory, she may be God's means and God his whip, and then your soul shall up to heaven skip, swifter than doth an arrow from a bow. I hope to God hereafter ye shall know that there is none so great felicity in marriage, nor evermore shall be, that you shall let of your salvation, so that ye use as skill is and raison the lustes of your wife attemperly, and that ye please her not too amorously, and that ye keep you eke from other sin. My tale is done, for my wit is but thin. Be not aghast hereof, my brother dear, but let us waden out of this mattere. The wife of Bath, if ye have understand of marriage, which ye have now in hand declared, hath full well in little space. Fare ye now well, God have you in his grace. And with this word, this Justin and his brother have taken their leave, and each of them of other. And when they saw that it must needs be, they wrought so by sleight and wise treaty, that she, this maiden, which that Mayes hight, as hastily as ever that she might, shall wedded be unto this January. True, it were too longe you to tarry, if I told you of every script and band by which she was fiaft in his hand, or for to reckon of her rich array. But finally y comen is the day that to the church both be they went, for to receive the holy sacrament. Forth came the priest with stole about his neck, and bade her be like Sarah and Rebecca in wisdom and in truth of marriage, and said his orisons as is usage, and croached them, and prayed God should them bless, and made all sicker enough with holiness. Thus they be wedded with solemnity, and at the feast sat both he and she, with other worthy folk upon the dais. All full of joy and bliss is the palace, all full of instruments and of vitale, the most daintiest of all Italy. Before them stood such instruments of sound that Orpheus nor of Thebes Amphion ne made never such a melody. At every course came in loud minstrelsy, that never Joab trumped for to hear, nor he Theodomus yet half so clear at Thebes when the city was in doubt. Bacchus the wine them skinked all about, and Venus laughed upon every wight. for January was become her nicht, and would both assay his courage in liberty and eke in marriage, and with her firebrand in her hand about danced before the bride with all the rout. And certainly I dare right well say this, Hymenaeus, that god of wedding is, never saw his lief so merry a wedded man. Hold thou thy peace, thou poet Marcian, that writest us that ilke wedding merry, of her philology and him Mercury, and of the songs that the Muses sung. Too small is both my pen and eke thy tongue for to describen of this marriage, when tender youth hath wedded stooping age. There is such mirth that it may not be writ. Essay it yourself, then may ye wit, if that I lee or know in this mattere. Maius, that sat with so benign a cheer, her to behold it seemed fairy. Queen Esther never looked with such an eye on us swear, so meek a look had she. I may not you devise all her beauty, but thus much of her beauty tell I may, that she was hight the bright morrow of May, full filled of all beauty and pleasance. This January is ravished in a trance at every time he looked in her face, but in his heart he gan her to menace, that he that night in arms would her strain, harder than ever Paris did Helene. But natheless yet had he great pity that thilke night offend her must he, and thought, alas, tender creature, now would God ye mighte well endure. All my courage, it is so sharp and keen, I am aghast ye shall it not sustain. But God forbid that I did all my might. Now would God that it were waxen night, and that the night would lasten evermore. I would that all this people were y go, and finally he did all his labour, as he beste might, saving his honour, to haste them from the meat in subtle ways. The time came that reason was to rise, and after that men dance and drinke fast, and spices all about the house they cast, and full of joy and bliss is every man, all but a squire that hight Damian, who carved before the night full many a day. He was so ravished on his lady May, that for the very pain he was nigh wood. Almost he swelt and swooned where he stood, so sore had Venus hurt him with her brand, as that she bare it dancing in her hand. And to his bed he went him hastily. No more of him as at this time spake I, but there I let him weep enough and plain, till fresh May will rue upon his pain. O perilous fire that in the bedstraw bradeth, O foe familiar that his service badeth, O savin traitor, O false homely Hugh, like to the adder in bosom shy untrue. God shield us all from your acquaintance, O January drunken in pleasance of marriage. See how thy Damian, thine own squire, and thy boren man, intendeth for to do thee villainy. God grant thee thine homely foe to espy, for in this world is no worse pestilence than homely foe all day in thy presence. Performed hath the sun his arc diurn, no longer may the body of him sojourn on the horizon in that latitude. Night with his mantle that is dark and rude gan overspread the hemisphere about, for which departed is this lusty rout. From January, with thank on every side, home to their houses lustily they ride. where as they do their things as them lest, and when they see their time they go to rest. Soon after that this hasty January will go to bed, he will no longer tarry. He drank Hippocras, clare, and vernage, of spices hot, to increase his courage. And many a lectuary had he full feen, such as the cursed monk Dan Constantine hath written in his book De Coitu. To eat them all he would nothing eschew, and to his privy friends thus said he: For God's love, as soon as it may be, let voiden all this house in courteous wise, and they have done right as he will devise. Men drinken, and the travers draw anon. The bride is brought to bed as still as stone. And when the bed was with the priest y blessed, out of the chamber every wight him dressed, and January hath fast in arms y take his freshe May, his paradise, his make. He lulled her, and he kissed her full oft, with thick bristles of his beard unsoft, like to the skin of houndfish, sharp as briar, for he was shaven all new in his manner. He rubbed her upon her tender face, and saide thus: Alas, I must trespace to you, my spouse, and you greatly offend, ere time come that I will down descend. But natheless consider this," quoth he, "there is no workman, whatsoe'er he be, that may both worke well and hastily. This will be done at leisure perfectly. It is no force how longe that we play. In true wedlock coupled be we tway, and blessed be the yoke that we be in, for in our acts there may be no sin. A man may do no sin with his wife, nor hurt himself with his own knife, for we have leave to play us by the law." Thus laboured he till that the day gan daw. And then he took a sup in fine clare, and upright in his bed then sat he, and after that he sang full loud and clear, and kissed his wife, and made wanton cheer. He was all coltish, full of raggery, and full of jargon as a flecked pea. The slack skin about his neck shaked, while that he sang, so chanted he and cracked. But God wot what that May thought in her heart, when she saw him up sitting in his shirt, in his nightcap, and with his neck aleen. She praised not his playing worth a bean. Then said he thus: "My rest will I take, now day is come, I may no longer wake." And down he laid his head, and slept till prime. And afterward, when that he saw his time, uprose January. But freshe May held her chamber till the fourthe day, as usage is of waves for the best. For every labour sometime must have rest, or else long may he not endure. That is to say, no life of creature, be it of fish or bird or beast or man. Now will I speak of woeful Damian, that languishes for love, as ye shall hear. Therefore I speak of him in this mannere. I say, O silly Damian, alas, answer to this demand, as in this case. How shalt thou to thy lady freshe May tell thy woe? She will always say nay. Eke if thou speak, she will thy woe bewray. God be thine help, I can no better say. This sicke Damian in Venus' fire so burned that he died for desire, for which he put his life in aventure. No longer might he in this wise endure, but privily a penner gan he borrow, and in a letter wrote he all his sorrow. in a manner of a complaint or a lay unto his fair freshe lady May. And in a purse of silk hung on his shirt he hath it put, and laid it at his heart. The moon, that at noon was thicke day, that January had wedded freshe May, in 10 of Tor was into Cancer glided. So long had Maius in her chamber abided, as custom is unto these nobles all. A bride shall not eaten in the ball till day is 4, or 3 days at the least, y passed be, then let her go to feast. The 4th day complete from noon to noon, when that the high mass was y done, in hall sat this January, and May, as fresh as is the brighte summer's day. And so befell how that this goode man remembered him upon this Damian, and said, "Saint Mary, how may this be, that Damian attendeth not to me? Is he aye sick, or how this may betide?" His squires, which that stoode there beside, excused him because of his sickness, which letted him to do his business. None other cause might make him tarry. "That me forthinketh," quoth this January, "he is a gentle squire, by my truth. If that he died, it were great harm and ruth. He is as wise, as discreet, and secre as any man I know of his degree, and thereto manly and eke serviceable, and for to be a thrifty man right able. But after meat, as soon as ever I may, I will myself visit him, and eke may, to do him all the comfort that I can." And for that word him blessed every man, that of his bounty and his gentleness. He would so comforten in sickness his squire, for it was a gentle deed. "Dame," quoth this January, "take good heed at after meat ye with your women all, when ye that be in chamber out of this hall, that all ye go to see this Damian, do him disport, he is a gentle man, and tell him that I will him visit, have I nothing but rested me a late. And speed ye fast, for I will abide till that ye sleepe faste by my side." And with that word he gan unto him call a squire that was marshal of his hall, and told him certain things that he would. This freshe May hath straight her way y hold, with all her women, unto Damian. Down by his bedside sat she then, comforting him as goodly as she may. This Damian, when that his time he saw, in secret wise his purse and eke his bill, in which that he had written had his will, hath put into her hand withouten more, save that he sighed wondrous deep and sore, and softly to her right thus said he: "Mercy, and that ye not discover me, for I am dead if that this thing be kid." The purse hath she in her bosom hid, and went her way. Ye get no more of me. But unto January come is she, that on his bedside sat full soft. He took her, and he kissed her full oft, and laid him down to sleep, and that anon. She feigned her as that she muste gon. There, as ye know, that every wight must need, and when she of this bill had taken heed, she rent it all to cloutes at the last, and in the privy softely it cast. Who studieth now but fair fresh May? Adown by olde January she lay, that slept, till the cough had him awaked. Anon he prayed her strip her all naked. He would of her, he said, have some pleasance, and said her clothes did him encumbrance. And she obeyed him, by her leave for loth. But, lest that precious folk be with me wroth, How that he wrought, I dare not to you tell, or whether she thought it paradise or hell; but there I let them worken in their wise, Till evensong ring, and then they must arise. Were it by destiny or aventure, Were it by influence or by nature, Or constellation, that in such a state The heavens stood at that time fortunate, As for to put a bill of Venus' works, For all think hath time, as say these clerks, To any woman for to get her love, I cannot say; but greate God above, That knoweth that none act is causeless, He deem of all, for I will hold my peace. For sooth is this, how that this freshe May Hath taken such impression that day Of pity on this sicke Damian, That from her heart she not drive can The remembrance for to do him ease. Certain, thought she, whom that this thing displease, I reckon not, for here I him assure To love him best of any creature, Though he no more had than his shirt. Lo, pity runneth soon in gentle heart. Here may ye see how excellent franchise In women is, when they them narrow advise. Some tyrant is, as there be many a one, That hath a heart as hard as any stone, Which would have let him starven in the place, Well rather than have granted him her grace, And then rejoicen in her cruel pride, And reckon not to be a homicide. This gentle May, full filled of pity, Right of her hand a letter maked she, In which she granted him her very grace. There lacked nought, but only day and place, Where that she might unto his lust suffice. For it shall be right as he will devise. And when she saw her time upon a day To visit this Damian went this May, And subtilly this letter down she thrust Under his pillow, read it if him lust. She took him by the hand, and hard him twist So secretly, that no wight of it wist, And bade him be all whole, and forth she went To January, when he for her sent. Up rose Damian the nexte morrow, All past was his sickness and his sorrow. He combed him, he pruined him, and picked; He did all that unto his lady liked. And eke to January he went as low As ever did a dog afore the bow. He is so pleasant unto every man, For craft is all, whoso that do it can. Every wight is fain to speak him good, And fully in his lady's grace he stood. Thus leave I Damian about his need, And in my tale forth I will proceed. Some clerkes hold that felicity stands in delight, And therefore certain he, this noble January, With all his might, in honest wise, As longeth to a night, shope him to live full deliciously, His housing, his array, as honestly To his degree was maked as a king's, Amongelst other of his honest things. He had a garden walled all with stone; So fair a garden wot I nowhere none. For out of doubt I verily suppose That he that wrote the romance of the rose Could not of it the beauty well devise, Nor Priapus might not well suffice, Though he be god of gardens, for to tell The beauty of the garden, and the well That stood under a laurel always green. Full oftentime he Pluto and his queen Proserpina, And all their fairy, disported them And made melody about that well, And danced, as men told. This noble knight This January old such dainty had it in it to walk and play, that he would suffer no wight to bear the key, save he himself, for of the small wicket he bare always a silver clicket, with which, when that him list, he it unshet, and when that he would pay his wife's debt, in summer season thither he would go, and may his wife, and no white but they two, and thinges which that were not done in bed, he in the garden them performed and sped. And in this wise many a merry day lived this January and freshe May. But worldly joy may not always endure to January, nor to no creature. O sudden hap, O thou fortune unstable, like to the scorpion so deceivable, that fatterest with thy head when thou wilt sting, thy tail is death through thine envenoming. O brittle joy, O sweet poison quaint, O monster, that so subtly canst paint thy gifts under hue of steadfastness, that thou deceivest both more and lesse. Why hast thou January thus deceived, that haddest him for thy full friend received? And now thou hast bereft him both his eyen, for sorrow of which desireth he to dien. Alas, this noble January free amid his lust and his prosperity is waxen blind, and that all suddenly. He weeped and he wailed piteously, and therewithal the fire of jealousy, lest that his wife should fall in some folly, so burnt his heart, that he would fain that some man both him and her had slain, for neither after his death nor in his life, ne would he that she were no love nor wife, but ever live as widow in clothes black, sole as the turtle that hath lost her make. But at the last, after a month or tway, his sorrow gan assuage, sothe to say. For when he wist it might none other be, he patiently took his adversity, save out of dote he may not forgon, that he was jealous evermore in one, which jealousy was so outrageous, that neither in hall nor in none other house, nor in none other place nevermore he would suffer her to ride or go. But if that he had hand on her alway, for which full often wept afresh May, that loved Damian so burningly, that she might either dien suddenly, or else she must have him at her last. She waited, when her heart would brest. Upon that other side Damian becomen is the sorrowfullest man that ever was, for neither night nor day he might speak a word to freshe May. As to his purpose, of no such mattere, but if that January must it hear, that had a hand upon her evermore. But natheless, by writing to and fro, and privy signs, wist he what she meant, and she knew eke the fine of his intent. O January, might it thee avail, though thou might see as far as ships sail, for as good is it blind deceived to be, as be deceived when a man may see. Lo, Argus, which that had 100 eyen, for all that ever he could pour or pryen, yet he was blent, and God wot so bemore, that ween awisely that it be not so. Pass over is an ease, I say no more. This freshe May, of which I spake yore, in warm wax hath imprinted the clicket that January bare of the small wicket, by which into his garden off he went. And Damian, that knew all her intent, the clicket counterfeited privily. There is no more to say, but hastily some wonder by this clicket shall betide, which ye shall hearen, if ye will abide. O noble Ovid, sooth sayest thou, God wot, what sleight it is, if love be long and hot, that he'll not find it out in some manere. The Pyramus and Thisbe may man lear, though they were kept full long and straight o'er all, they be accorded rowning through a wall, where no wight could have found out such a sleight. But now to purpose, ere the dayes 8 were past of this month of July, fill, that January caught so great a will, through egging of his wife, him for to play in his garden, and no wight but they tway. That in a morning to this May said he, "Rise up, my wife, my love, my lady free. The turtle's voice is heard, mine owen sweet. The winter is gone with his rains wet. Come forth now with your eyen columbine. Well fairer be thy breasts than any wine. The garden is enclosed all about. Come forth, my white spouse, for out of doubt thou hast me wounded in my heart, O wife. No spot in thee was e'er in all thy life. Come forth, and let us taken our disport. I choose thee for my wife and my comfort." Such old lewed words used he. On Damian a sign made she, that he should go before with his clicket. This Damian then hath opened the wicket, and in he start, and that in such mannere, that no wight might him either see or hear, and still he sat under a bush. Anon, this January, as blind as a stone, with maes in his hand, and no wight more, into this freshe garden is he go, and clapped to the wicket suddenly. "Now, wife," quoth he, "here is but thou and I. Thou art the creature that I best love, for by that Lord that sits in heaven above, lever had I to dien on a knife than thee offende, dear true wife. For Godde's sake, think how I thee cheese, not for no covetous doubteless, but only for the love I had to thee. And though that I be old and may not see, be to me true, and I will tell you why. Certes 3 things shall ye win thereby. First, love of Christ, and to yourself honour, and all mine heritage, town and tower, I give it you. Make charters as you lest. This shall be done tomorrow ere sun rest. So wisely God my soul bring to bliss. I pray ye on this covenant me kiss, and though that I be jealous, weet me not, ye be so deep imprinted in my thought, that when that I consider your beauty, and therewithal the unlikely eld of me, I may not, certes, though I should die, forbear to be out of your company. For very love, this is without doubt. Now kiss me, wife, and let us roam about." This freshe May, when she this wordes heard, benignly to January answered. But first and forward she began to weep. "I have," quoth she, "a soule for to keep, As well as ye, and also mine honour, And of my wifehood thilke tender flower. which that I have assured in your hand, when that the priest to you my body bond. Wherefore I will answer in this mannere, with leave of you, mine own lord so dear. I pray to God that never dawn the day that I no sterve as foul as women may. If e'er I do unto my kin that shame, or else I impair so my name, that I be false, and if I do that lack, do strippe me, and put me in a sack, and in the nexte river do me drench. I am a gentle woman, and no wench. Why speak ye thus? But men be e'er untrue, and women have reproof of you, I knew. Ye know none other dalliance, I believe, but speak to us of untrust and reprieve. And with that word she saw where Damian sat in the bush, and coughe she began, and with her finger sign made she, that Damian should climb upon a tree that charged was with fruit, and up he went. For verily he knew all her intent, and every sign that she could make, better than January her own make. For in a letter she told him all of this matter, how that he worke shall, and thus I leave him sitting in the perry, and January and May roaming full merry. Bright was the day, and blue the firmament. Phoebus of gold his streames down had sent, to gladden every flower with his warmness. He was that time in Gemini's, I guesse. But little from his declination of Cancer, Jove's exaltation. And so befell in that bright morning tide, that in the garden on the farther side, Pluto, that is king of faery, and many a lady in his company, following his wife, the queen Proserpina, which that he ravished out of Ethna, while that she gathered flowers in the mead. In Claudian you may the story read, how in his grisly chariot he her fete, this king of fairies adown him set upon a bank of turfs fresh and green, and right anon thus said he to his queen: "My wife," quoth he, "there may no whit say nay, experience so proves it every day, the treason which that woman doth to man. 100,000 stories tell I can, notable of your untruth and brittleness. O Solomon, richest of all riches, full filled of sapience and worldly glory, full worthy be the words of memory. To every wight that wit and reason can, thus praised he yet the bounty of man. Among 1,000 men yet found I one, but of all women found I never none. Thus said this king, that knew your wickedness. And Jesus, filius Sirach, as I guess, he spake of you but seldom reverence. A wild fire and corrupt pestilence so fall upon your bodies yet tonight. Ne see ye not this honorable knight, because, alas, that he is blind and old, his owen man shall make him cuckold. Lo, where he sits, the lecher, in the tree. Now will I granten of my majesty unto this olde blind worthy knight, that he shall have again his eyen sight. When that his wife will do him villainy, then shall be knowen all her harlotry, both in reproof of her and other more. "Yea, sir," quoth Proserpine, "and will ye so? Now by my mother's serious soul I swear that ye shall give her sufficient answer, and all the women after for her sake, that though they be in any guilt y take, with face bold they shall themselves excuse, and bear them down that woulde them accuse. For lack of answer none of them shall dien. All had ye seen a thing with both your eyen, yet shall we visage it so hardily, and weep and swear and chide subtilly, that ye shall be as lewed as be geese. What recketh me of your authorities? Ye wot well that this Jew, this Solomon, found of us women fools many one, but though that he found no good woman, yet there hath found many another man, woman full good and true and virtuous, witness on them that dwelt in Christ's house. With martyrdom they proved their constance. The Roman jests make remembrance of many a very true wife also. But, sire, be not wroth, albeit so. Though that he said he found no good woman, I pray you take the sentence of the man. He meant thus, that in sovereign bounty is none but God, no, neither he nor she. Hey, for the very good God that is but one, why make you so much of Solomon? What though he made a temple, God's house? What though he were rich and glorious? So made he eke a temple of false gods. How might he do a thing that more forbode is? Pardie, as fair as ye his name emplaster. He was a lecher and an idolaster, and in his eld he very God forsook. And if that God had not, as saith the book, spared him for his father's sake, he should have lost his reign rather than he would. He set not of all the villainy that he of women wrote a butterfly. I am a woman, needs must I speak, or else swell until mine hearte break. For since he said that we be jangleresses, as ever may I brook whole my tresses, I shall not spare for no courtesy to speak him harm that said us villainy. Dame, quoth this Pluto, be no longer wroth, I give it up. But since I swore mine oath that I would grant to him his sight again, my word shall stand, that warn I you certain. I am a king, it sits me not to lie, and I, quoth she, am queen of faery. Her answer she shall have, I undertake. Let us no more words of it make. Forsooth, I will no longer you contrary. Now let us turn again to January, that in the garden with his fair May singeth well merrier than the popinjay. You love I best, and shall and other none, so long about the alleys is he gone, till he was come to that ilke perry, where as this Damian sat full merry on high among the freshe leaves green. This fresh May, that is so bright and sheen, gan for to sigh, and said, "Alas, my side! Now, sir," quoth she, "for aught that may betide, I must have of the peares that I see, or must I die, so sore longeth me to eaten of the small peares green. Help, for her love that is of heaven queen. I tell you well, a woman in my plight may have to fruit so great an appetite, that she may dien but she of it have." "Alas," quoth he, "that I had here a knave that could climb! Alas, alas," quoth he, "for I am blind." "Yea, sir, no force," quoth she, "but would ye vouchsake for Godde's sake the Peri in your arms for me to take? For well I wot that you mistruste me." "Then would I climb well enough," quoth she, "So I my foot might set upon your back." "Certes," said he, "therein shall be no lack. Might I help you with mine hearte's blood?" He stooped down, on his back she stood, And caught her by a twist, and up she go'th. "Ladies, I pray you that ye be not wroth, I cannot glose, I am a rude man." And suddenly anon this Damian gan pullen up the smock, And in he throng. And when that Pluto saw this greate wrong, To January he gave again his sight, And made him see as well as ever he might. And when he thus had caught his sight again, Was never man of anything so fain, But on his wife his thought was evermore. Up to the tree he cast his eyen two, And saw how Damian his wife had dressed In such mannere it may not be expressed. But if I would speak uncourteously, And up he gave a roaring and a cry, As doth the mother when the child shall die. "Out! Help! Alas! Harow!" he gan to cry. "O stronge lady, straw, what dost thou?" And she answered, "Sir, what aileth you? Have patience and reason in your mind. I have you helped on both your eyen blind. On peril of my soul I shall not lien. As me was taught to helpe with your eyen, Was nothing better for to make you see Than struggle with a man upon a tree. God wot, I did it in full good intent." "Struggle?" quoth he. "Yea, algate in it went. God give you both one shame's death to dien. He swived thee, I saw it with mine eyen, And else be I hanged by the halse." "Then is," quoth she, "my medicine all false; For certainly, if that ye mighte see, Ye would not say these wordes unto me. Ye have some glimpsing, and no perfect sight." "I see," quoth he, "as well as ever I might, Thanked be God, with both mine eyen two; And by my faith me thought he did thee so." Ye maze, good sir," quoth she, "This thank have I, for I have made you see." "Alas," quoth she, "that e'er I was so kind." "Now, dame," quoth he, "let all pass out of mind. Come down, my lefe, and if I have missaid, God help me so, as I am evil apaid. But by my father's soul, I ween'd have seen how that this Damian had by thee lain, And that thy smock had lain upon his breast." "Yes, sir," quoth she, "ye may ween as ye lest. But, sir, a man that wakes out of his sleep, He may not suddenly well take keep* *keep Upon a thing, nor see it perfectly, Till that he be adawed* verily. Richt so a man that long hath blind y be, He may not suddenly so well y see, First when his sight is new come again, As he that hath a day or two y seen. Till that your sight established be a while, There may full many a sight you beguile. Beware, I pray you, for by heaven's king, Full many a man weeneth to see a thing, And it is all another than it seemeth. He which that misconceiveth oft misdeemeth, and which that word she leaped down from the tree. This January, who is glad but he? He kissed her, and clipped her full oft, And on her womb he stroked her full soft, And to his palace home he hath her laid. Now, goode men, I pray you to be glad. Thus endeth here my tale of January. God bless us, and his mother, Sainte Mary. End of the Merchant's Tale.